They dazzled us, broke records, changed the game, but one thing forever eluded them: a Super Bowl ring. This is the story of the greatest NFL players who never won it all. Barry Sanders, Lions. Barry Sanders was a magician in cleats. With over 15,000 rushing yards, he made defenders miss like ghosts. But the Lions never gave him a real shot at a title. He walked away in his prime, ringless but legendary. Dan Marino, Dolphins. Marino threw for over 61,000 yards and made passing look effortless. He reached the Super Bowl once, early in his career, and never returned. Despite all the records, the Lombardi Trophy remained out of reach. Randy Moss, Vikings/Patriots. Randy Moss redefined the deep threat, a freak of nature who once caught 23 touchdowns in a season. He came closest in 2007 with the undefeated Patriots, only to lose to the Giants in the final seconds. LaDainian Tomlinson, Chargers. LT was a touchdown machine, scoring 31 in a single season. He lit up defenses and changed the RB position, but postseason struggles and team inconsistencies kept him from ever reaching the Super Bowl. Jim Kelly, Bills. 4 straight Super Bowl appearances, 4 straight losses. Kelly was the engine behind Buffalo's 90s dynasty, but fate, and sometimes field goals, never gave him the ring he earned with grit and heart. Calvin Johnson, Lions. Megatron was unstoppable. Nearly 2,000 yards in one season, and highlight catches weekly. But he was stranded on poorly managed teams. Like Sanders, he retired early, without ever sniffing a title game. Eric Dickerson, Rams, Colts. Dickerson still holds the single-season rushing record. Smooth and powerful, he ran through defenses with ease. But team dysfunction and poor playoff luck kept him from the sport's biggest stage. Champ Bailey, Broncos, Redskins. 12 times Pro Bowler, one of the greatest corners ever. He made the Pro Bowl from 2000 to 2007 and 2009 to 2012, but only reached the Super Bowl at the end of his career and lost a lopsided game as his last shot. Julius Peppers, Panthers, Bears, Packers. 9 times Pro Bowler, Olympic caliber athlete, Defensive Rookie of the Year. He played in Super Bowl 38 with Carolina, but lost a close game in 2004, Ringless and Hoffbound. Junior Seau, Chargers, Patriots. 12 times Pro Bowler, fiery leader, Defensive Player of the Year candidate multiple times. He reached 2 Super Bowls, 1995, 2007, and came up short both times. Chris Carter, Vikings. 8-time Pro Bowler, over 1,000 plus career receptions. One of the most reliable red zone threats ever, even played in the NFC Championship in 1998. But no Super Bowl ring. Adrian Peterson, Vikings, others. 7 times Pro Bowler, MVP winner, multiple rushing titles. Just 5 playoff games in his career, none leading to a Super Bowl. Larry Fitzgerald, Cardinals. 11 times Pro Bowler, 3rd all-time in receptions. Nearly won Super Bowl 43, but lost a legendary game, still no ring. Frank Gore, 49ers/others. 5 times Pro Bowler, played in Super Bowl 47 with the 49ers, lost 34-31. J.J. Watt, Texans, Cardinals. 5 times Pro Bowler, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Dominant in Houston, but just 4 playoff wins and no Super Bowl appearance. Calais Campbell, Jaguars, Broncos, Cardinals, Ravens. 6 times Pro Bowler, key AFC contender with Jacksonville, but losses in AFC title games and no ring the score. LaShawn McCoy, Eagles, Bills, Bucks. 8 times Pro Bowler, over 11,000 rushing yards. Despite multiple playoff trips, he never reached a Super Bowl. Curtis Martin, Patriots, Jets. 5-time Pro Bowler, over 14,000 career rushing yards, NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, 1995. Despite playoff runs, including the 1998 AFC title game, he never reached the Super Bowl. Eric Weddle, Chargers, Ravens. 6 times Pro Bowler, cerebral safety and leader. Played NFC championship games, but never advanced to a Super Bowl. Darrelle Revis, Jets, Patriots, Buccaneers, Raiders. 7 times Pro Bowler, shutdown corner for over a decade. Multiple deep playoff runs but never got to the Super Bowl. Nnamdi Asomugha, Eagles, Raiders. 3 times Pro Bowler, but let's say counted as 5-team level honor. Elite corner in the late 2000s with the Raiders, no Super Bowl appearances. Steve Hutchinson, Vikings, Seahawks, others. 7 times Pro Bowler, dominant on the interior line. Never played in a Super Bowl despite team success in the 2000s. Jason Witten, Cowboys. 11-time Pro Bowler, 2-time NFL leading tight end in receptions. He holds the record for most games played by a tight end, 271, with no Super Bowl appearance. Clay Matthews, Browns, Falcons. 5 times Pro Bowler, fixture of the Browns defense from 1978 to 1993. His team never got to a Super Bowl during his lengthy career. Bruce Smith, Bills. The NFL's all-time sack leader with 200. Bruce Smith was a force of destruction. He played in 4 Super Bowls with the Bills, but each ended in heartbreak. A defensive titan without a ring. Fran Tarkenton, Vikings. A scrambling innovator long before it was popular, Tarkenton played in 3 Super Bowls, all losses. He retired as the NFL's all-time leader in passing yards and touchdowns, but never got a championship. Tony Gonzalez, Chiefs or Falcons. One of the best tight ends ever. Over 1,300 receptions, 111 touchdowns, but limited playoff chances meant Gonzalez never reached the Super Bowl, despite nearly 2 decades of elite play. Philip Rivers, Chargers. Rivers was fiery, consistent, and iron tough. He passed for over 63,000 yards and played through pain, but postseason success always eluded him. He never played in a Super Bowl. Warren Moon, Oilers/Vikings. Moon dominated in both the CFL and NFL. He became the first black quarterback in the Hall of Fame. But despite his arm talent, he never reached a Super Bowl, mostly due to defensive lapses and tough AFC competition. Terrell Owens, 49ers, Eagles, Cowboys. T.O. was electric and controversial. He played in Super Bowl 39 on a broken leg and still had 122 yards. But his teams were often plagued by internal conflict. No ring, but no one forgot him. Andre Johnson, Texans. Andre was the model of professionalism and dominance, quietly racked up 14,000 yards while playing with countless quarterbacks, but the Texans were never true contenders during his prime. Jason Taylor, Dolphins. Taylor was relentless, fast, and feared off the edge. A defensive player of the year and sack leader. But Miami never surrounded him with enough talent to contend for a Super Bowl. Patrick Willis, 49ers. Willis was a brick wall in the middle, fast, intelligent, and punishing. He came close in Super Bowl 47, but San Francisco fell short. He retired young, leaving behind a legacy of dominance. Antonio Gates, Chargers. A former basketball player turned elite tight end. Gates redefined the position with his footwork and hands. He built a Hall of Fame career, but never played in a Super Bowl. Wes Welker, Patriots, Broncos. Welker played in 3 Super Bowls and lost them all, twice with the Patriots and once with the Broncos. Known for his quickness and reliability, his ringless career remains one of the most bittersweet. Tony Romo, Cowboys. Romo was a gunslinger and playmaker who shouldered Dallas for years. Playoff collapses and bad luck defined his postseason runs, and he never made it past the divisional round. Steve Smith Sr., Panthers/Ravens. Small in size, giant in attitude. Smith was fiery, fearless, and explosive. He reached the Super Bowl once in 2003 with Carolina, but they lost a close battle to the Patriots. Bo Jackson, Raiders. Bo was a once-in-a-lifetime athlete, fast, powerful, and elusive. A hip injury ended his NFL career too early. He never had time to chase a ring, but his myth lives forever. Fred Taylor, Jaguars. Taylor was underrated and underappreciated. He rushed for over 11,000 yards and helped the Jags reach the AFC title game, but never went all the way. A.J. Green, Bengals. A.J. was Cincinnati's silent superstar, 7 Pro Bowls, 10,000-plus yards, and countless highlight catches, but he never played in a Super Bowl, just missed the Burrow era by a year. Donovan McNabb, Eagles. McNabb led the Eagles to 5 NFC championship games and 1 Super Bowl. He came close, very close, but they lost to Brady and the Patriots in 2004. Chris Johnson, Titans. CJ2K had one of the fastest seasons ever, 2,006 yards in 2009, but team struggles and injuries kept him from ever playing deep into January. Sterling Sharp, Packers. Sharp was unstoppable before injuries cut his career short. His brother Shannon got 3 rings, but Sterling, despite elite stats, never even played in a Super Bowl. Carson Palmer, Bengals/Cardinals. Palmer showed flashes of greatness, especially with Arizona in 2015, but postseason injuries and inconsistency kept him just short of true glory. Matt Ryan, Falcons. Matt Ryan won an MVP and came this close in Super Bowl 51, up 28-3 before one of the most shocking comebacks in history. That collapse followed him forever. The ring never came. Boomer Esiason, Bengals. Esiason won an MVP and led the Bengals to Super Bowl 23, where they nearly upset Joe Montana's 49ers. A late-game drive sealed their fate. He never got another shot at the title. Joe Thomas, Browns. A model of consistency and excellence, Thomas was a 10-time Pro Bowler on one of the worst teams in football. He played over 10,000 consecutive snaps and never even saw a playoff win. Herman Moore, Lions. Moore was one of the best receivers of the 90s, especially during the Barry Sanders era. He led the league in catches and yards but only reached the playoffs 3 times and never advanced far. Rich Gannon, Raiders. Gannon won the 2002 NFL MVP and led the Raiders to Super Bowl 37, only to be dismantled by his former coach John Gruden, a late bloomer whose peak wasn't quite enough. Steve McNair, Titans, Ravens. Air McNair was tough, mobile, and resilient. He came inches from tying Super Bowl 34 against the Rams. That final tackle at the 1-yard line became legend and his closest chance. James Lofton, Packers, Raiders, Bills. A deep threat long before it was trendy. Lofton totaled over 14,000 yards but lost 4 Super Bowls with the Bills. His longevity is incredible, but the trophy always eluded him. Chad Johnson, Bengals. Ocho Cinco was as flashy as he was talented. 6 straight 1,000-yard seasons, unmatched footwork, and showmanship. But the Bengals never made it past the wildcard round during his run. DeBrickashaw Ferguson, Jets. A stalwart on the Jets' offensive line, Ferguson was quietly one of the best tackles of the 2000s. New York made 2 AFC title games, but never broke through. Muhsin Muhammad, Panthers Bears. He led the NFL in receiving in 2004 and played in 2 Super Bowls, one with Carolina and one with Chicago. He lost both but left a legacy of professionalism and production. Greg Olsen, Bears/Panthers. Olsen was Cam Newton's top target for years and had 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He made it to Super Bowl 50, but lost to the Broncos' fearsome defense. Michael Vick, Falcons-Eagles. One of the most electrifying QBs ever. Vick changed the game with his legs and cannon arm, but suspensions and injuries derailed his prime. He never reached a Super Bowl. Brandon Marshall, Broncos, Dolphins, Bears. Marshall had over 12,000 yards and 6 100-catch seasons. He was never on a serious contender and never played in a postseason game until the final years of his career. Jared Allen, Chiefs, Vikings. Allen was a sack artist, feared by every QB. He reached the Super Bowl late in his career with the Panthers, but lost to the Broncos in Super Bowl 50. Tiki Barber, Giants. Tiki retired the year before the Giants won it all. One of the best all-purpose backs in team history, he left the game too early to claim a ring. Matt Fort, Bears. Fort was reliable, versatile, and efficient. He posted multiple 1,000-yard seasons and was a PPR fantasy god, but the Bears never built a complete contender around him. Cameron Wake, Dolphins. Wake didn't enter the NFL until age 27, but still managed nearly 100 sacks. Despite his dominance, Miami never built a team that could compete in January. Joe Klecko, Jets. A cornerstone of the legendary New York Sack Exchange, Klecko dominated on the line and earned 4 Pro Bowl selections at 3 different positions. But postseason runs always fell short during his time. Leslie O'Neal, Chargers, Rams, Chiefs. O'Neal quietly notched over 130 career sacks and 6 Pro Bowl nods. He was consistently elite, but played for teams that never got over the hump in the playoffs. Pat Swilling, linebacker, Saints, Lions, Raiders. Swilling was part of the feared Dome Patrol linebacker unit. He won Defensive Player of the Year in 1991, but never made it past the divisional round in the postseason. Joey Galloway, Seahawks, Cowboys, Bucks. Galloway had blazing speed and over 10,000 career receiving yards, but bounced between underachieving teams. He never reached a Super Bowl or became part of a deep playoff run. Lorenzo Neal, multiple teams. Neal was one of the most dominant blocking fullbacks ever, paving the way for 4 1,000-yard rushers. He played 16 seasons, made it deep in the playoffs, but never reached the big one. A ring is just metal. Legacy, that's eternal. These men never lifted the Lombardi, but they lifted the game. Who else belongs on this list? Tell us below, and don't forget to subscribe to the Sleepy Scoreboard for more sports-related topics to help you fall asleep to.